It's another lovely night down at Crypto Cove. How are you all doing tonight?
We're all good.
Great,
All
thanks,
righty.
Hunter.
Pretty good,
And,
thanks.
yep. And this is the Cove, so I should probably have the right background on. There we go. Okay, so folks, originally I wasn't actually going to do a Crypto Cove call this evening, but I fear that the new feature to my tools definitely required a bit more airtime. And then I looked at all the things I wanted to talk about and just figured, let's just do a call. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get right to it. I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right, and you all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
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 So the the headline topic for this call is the new quick swap tool that I have here. What this is it's essentially buttons that deep link to PancakeSwap that allow you to create a swap with USDT and the token of your choice of our tokens pre-filled in. So, like for example, let me go ahead and say click swap USDT to PML. And you'll see that that opens up PancakeSwap, and we can see that from USDT and to PML is already filled in just fine. So it pre-filled those in for us. And it works the same with all the other tokens that I have here. Let's say for PFI. And now it's showing USDT to PFI. Same for USDT to PFB, we can see here. USDT to PFS, that's also good. And USDT to PFG, yep, that shows up just fine as well. So the goal behind this bit of new tooling is to make it easier for folks to interact with PancakeSwap when they're trying to swap to one of our tokens, because now, number one, you don't have to click in several places to get to the swap pair that you want. And number two, if you're new to PancakeSwap, now you don't have to manually input our token contract addresses in necessarily. So that should help encourage adoption, and it should also hopefully encourage folks buying our tokens. So this new feature has just been launched on the live website today, and so far I've seen a couple people use it, and so far they've had pretty good things to say about it. So are there any questions about that before we move on? Alrighty. So you all will see me looking up to the side here. I've got my saved messages in Telegram open to some notes I have because, like I said, there's quite a bit I want to go over tonight. But I'll go ahead and share my screen, and I'll show you all some screenshots of what this looks like on mobile. Now, the issue is that on the mobile version, MetaMask does not support deep links. So if you try to tap on one of those buttons on the mobile version of MetaMask, what that would do is that would open up your regular web browser to PancakeSwap, which would be all fine and good if the web browser had some way of interfacing with MetaMask, which it unfortunately doesn't. So to get around that, I set a switch in the code to if you're viewing the page from a mobile browser, instead of the buttons to automatically go to PancakeSwap, what you'll see is buttons to copy links for all of our swap pairs. And what this will do is it will allow you to, of course, copy a link to the pair that you want, just like it says. And from there, you can go ahead and go over to MetaMask and you can go to the Explore tab. And in a recent version, in a recent update to MetaMask, they replaced Browser with Explore, but it's still essentially the same basic thing up at the top here. It's just that they've added some stuff at the bottom here. Most of the time, you're not going to interact with any of this stuff below here, so you can just ignore that basically. But what you'll do is, since you've copied the link, you can go ahead and tap on the URL bar and paste that link in. And then you can hit the go button here, the check mark in my case, or you can tap on the URL here, and that will also go to the web page. And then from there, you should see something that looks a little like this. Now, your interface might look different from mine because I use dark mode so, but this should basically look like what you'll see. In my case, I chose USDT to PFI for this screenshot example, but of course it'll be different depending on which trade pair you decide to choose and copy the link for. So that's how I essentially made it so that the mobile users weren't completely left out in the cold, since Mammoth seems not to play well with deep links, unfortunately. All right, so are there any questions about that before we move on to the next topic? All righty, we'll go ahead and move on. I'll go ahead and share my screen again. All right, so for the most part, my tooling right now is feature complete in terms of the new features that I've been wanting to add for a while, apart from those that are definitely going to take a while to come online. So from here on, updates to my tools are going to be a matter of improvements rather than new features, unless the new tokens launch anyway. And those improvements are going to be divided into four different sections or four different parts of improvements. Now, the first of those is going to be sustainability improvement, because the part of the issue here is that this tooling essentially needs to bring in funding to help with future upgrades and improvements to the tooling itself. You can see that I've already gone through a bit of that and done a bit in that stead with my donation buttons, as well as the option to view more donation options. And more recently, I've also added an option to support donating other assets to me that I don't have up here in the buttons. But I will also want to do something just a bit more here, since, well, donations are what they are in some cases. So with that, I had in mind a crypto services directory that I'd showcased on one of my last calls regarding the tooling. I haven't really worked on this much at all since last I showed it to you all, but that's definitely going to become my main focus probably from here on until until it's like the way I want it. Yeah, I had been focused on more of the core feature sets before, but now I'm going to shift focus over here because this is going to ultimately serve two purposes. Purpose number one is it's going to service a directory to visitors, because there are a lot of different scams out there. There are a lot of different websites that masquerade as a legitimate project or a legitimate tool. So having the legitimate links here definitely helps with that so that users don't get scammed. And it also gives me an opportunity to place in referral links for said tools when they're applicable. Now, I'm going to have a disclaimer up at the top regarding that some of these are going to be referral links. So, generally speaking, if you get to a tool or service that uses a referral link that I have in there, then there's going to be some sort of benefit to me, either in terms of some sort of resource or funding paid out to me, or some sort of special perk in a particular tool that I use personally. So, with that in mind, are there any questions about that before we move on? No?
No.
Am I doing my job too well again?
Yep.
Oh, all righty. So
Good
we'll go
job.
ahead and thank you. I'll go ahead and share my screen again, and we'll get to the next section for improvements. Now, this isn't live just yet, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to also take a look at navigation improvements, because ultimately this page and associated pages that are in my HR Web3 buttons portfolio here, you could say, they've gotten to the point where it might be a bit ungainly to find the one thing that you're looking for or the one page that you're looking for. Now, I've remedied this somewhat because I've added anchor text to all the headings. Like, for example, there's a bit of anchor text here that allows you to copy a link here. And if we put that over in a new tab, then that takes the user directly to the section that we chose. In this case, it was the add all tokens to MetaMask section. So I've definitely been working on that a little bit, but what I'd like to ultimately do is add some sort of navigation bar, probably either up at the top of the page here or on one of the sides of the page. So that way you can easily click to get to the section or page that you came here for. So that's definitely a bit done, but it's definitely something that I do absolutely still want to work on for the benefit of the community, because better and clear navigation only serves as a time saver, definitely. So I'd say that would definitely help. What you all say?
Yes.
Yes.
Hunter,
All right. Yes.
could you please go over that anchor tag one more time?
All right, so what I placed here is anchor tag links that allow you to copy the link to a specific section. So, like for example, if you wanted to copy a section that links directly to the Switch Binance Smart Chain RPC, what you can do is you can right click on either the text at the top here in the heading or this link icon right here, and then you can click on copy link address. If you're on mobile, you can just press and hold on the heading and it should allow you to copy it. And then from there, you can share it with whoever you'd like. And at that point, what they can do is they can paste that in link into their web browser of choice. And you see that there's a bit of special text here beside the PF buttons that usually closes out the link, right? We can see that it's tagged as hashtag Switch Binance Smart Chain RPC. So if we go ahead and hit enter, it brings us it automatically brings us down to the Switch Binance Smart Chain RPC section. So I've already done half of the work in this regard. Now it's a matter of putting in navigation text and proper navigation links. And if you've ever read a Wikipedia article and you've seen the table of contents, or for that matter, the table of contents on pretty much any page that has them, this is the same basic principle that I'm trying to go for here with the navigation improvements.
Oh,
Does that
wow.
make sense?
Yes, good job, Hunter.
Thank you. All right, so are there any other questions about that before we move on to the next improvement section? All righty, well, go ahead and share my screen again. Now, again, this isn't something that you all will be able to see, mainly because I really haven't started work on it just yet. So I'm still learning more and more about it. But one thing I'd like to do is add some accessibility improvements to this page. Now, Web3, like any other emerging technology out there, really doesn't give much consideration to those that are visually impaired. And while some improvements in this regard have been made in recent years, Web3 is still pretty hostile to those who are visually impaired or outright blind. So that's an issue, especially when Web3 is supposed to be this big project that's meant to be inclusive for all folks in the world, to where everyone can participate and everyone can access finance through DeFi and other Web3 tools. So that's a big segment of the population that just is just being completely left out in the cold. Now, I can't fix this everywhere, but what I can do is do my small part to try and improve my little corner of Web3 here by adding some accessibility improvements. I've definitely been reading up on some of those so far. There's definitely still quite a bit that I have to go through, but ultimately, what I'd like to do is I'd like to see improvements made to the point where those who use screen readers can easily access my web page and read it, as well as navigate my web page using only the keyboard. And you can definitely find some resources on this. Not sure if I'll post them down in the description or not, but yeah. So that's definitely going to be a project that has my attention because, of course, like I said, that's a decent sized segment of the population that's just being left out in the cold when it comes to Web3. And if I can ultimately be a small ripple in the pond that causes changes in that regard, then I'd say it's well worth the time spent doing that. When you all say?
Yes, Hunter.
All right, so the last improvement I'm going to talk about, and actually, I'm not going to share my screen for this one because there's really no point in doing that. The last improvement that I want to talk about is a matter of security improvements. Now, when my tooling was first created, convenience was the main priority. This was all built around the adult tokens to MetaMask tool that some of you may remember from the original Blogspot tool set that I was using. Now, that tool set still exists, but I'm not updating it anymore. That's basically abandonware at this point. Everything is being done on the GitHub page at this point. But with that in mind, there's still a bit of a handicap there because, like I said, this was all made as a quick and dirty way of trying to streamline some operations. And try and make the executive's job easier. But 6 months later, and we reached a point to where my tooling has really become de facto infrastructure for the community. And to be fair, I absolutely did not intend it to happen that way at all. It just happened that way. But with that in mind, we reached a point to where an accident could lead to more than just an error being done or a refresh of the page being required. It could lead to actual funds being lost if an accident occurs. So obviously, I do want to prevent that. So I'm going to build some security and stability improvements into the GitHub page. I'm not going to talk about what all those are going to be for operational security reasons, but it'll be a means of tightening up quite a bit of what's been loose on the page so far. And it'll also involve a bit of future proofing because at some point, some parts of my page could become brittle or break entirely, depending on what MetaMask decides to change in the future. So that's going to serve the dual role of making the page more secure and safer for the folks who use it. And it'll also serve the role of making sure that this stays stable well into the future. Now, I do want to put a bit of a fine point that there's no big security problem with the tooling that I'm aware of right now. There's nothing that's being exploited that I'm aware of. But this is just a matter of prevention being much, much better than the cure. What you all say?
Yes, yes.
So that's definitely another improvement that's going to be important. And there we are. The four section of the four sections of improvements. Got a bit of a tickle in my throat.
Wow, a lot of work, Hunter.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing all of this before I write another feature or do much of anything else with the website or the tool set because as I've just outlined, every single thing here is important. And if the new tokens launch while I'm doing this, then I'll just have to find some way to fit those in where I can. But overall, this is important. This is something that will impact the community, and this is something that will impact safety and security for anyone who uses the website.
Well, it'll
So
make it
it,
so much easier for people that aren't computer geeks. So, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Mhm. And I am definitely feeling a bit of the technical debts here because it's definitely one of those things where, you know, you do something in a lackadaisical manner at first, and then you end up paying for it later. And we've unfortunately arrived at that point for me.
Hunter, I think I
Yes.
missed, because I didn't know where anybody was, what you were just saying about, I think you mentioned something new and I just kind of missed it. Now
Well,
listen,
this is recorded, so you can watch the
okay,
recording
right,
later.
exactly, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, you were talking about something that was all the way back on point one, and we're on point seven now. So, I don't really want to go
Okay, it's
back
all right.
that much.
It's all right because I got on late. I have to listen to Trump in the background. So, um, yeah, I've been a little late tonight.
Alrighty. So with that in mind, that's pretty much all I want to talk about insofar as my tooling goes. So now we move over into the Q&A session of this call. So with that in mind, does anyone have any questions about the tooling? I'll also any questions regarding the community, regarding pool playing itself, or pretty much regarding anything for that matter. Free range, basically. I'm probably going to regret saying that, but we'll see. No? No questions?
Thanks, Hunter.
Did I do my job too well again? Ace is rubbing off on me. I gotta tell you, Ace is rubbing off on me, it seems. Oh dear.
Hunter, you know
Yes.
the meeting you did about the new community?
Mm-hmm.
Could you send me the link? Because I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah, I can do that. So I'll send it to you after we get off of this call.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, you know what? Actually, I'll do it now. Might as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
the second to last video that's in my YouTube channel right now. Let me go ahead and copy this. Of course, when this is up, it'll be the third to last video. And you know what? I'm just going to put it in the Zoom chat as well for the benefit of anyone else who hasn't seen it. And I'll thank you, Scott, on Telegram as well.
okay, thanks. There it is. Got it.
Hunter,
Yes.
just stop me if this is the wrong place to ask this question. I just I didn't want to waste your time, sending you a private message. So I'm just curious. What is how I'm trying to wrap my head around the difference between this new community and because it's going to be private from everything else, just like the whales are private from everything else. So do they overlap at any point, or how is that going to all work without there being a whole bunch of communities? And I just want a little bit of clarity, please.
Right. So the whales are definitely tied pretty closely to Wolfling. The whale club is definitely. I am considering that we're talking about boats who are whales and the pool playing tokens. Now, the new community is going to be something that's more loosely tied to pool playing. And we're going to have a fair bit more autonomy from the rest of the pool playing ecosystem itself. But other than that, you really won't see a lot of difference. We're definitely going to have meetings between the folks in the community. We're definitely going to have votes on things we can do to help improve the utility and viability of the new token. But all that's going to be done in the private group that we had for the new community and the new token. So, in terms of what's going to happen as far as the new community goes, the new community and the rest of the pool playing ecosystem really won't meet that much together very much. Of course, obviously, members of the community are still members of pool funding, but yeah, they're definitely going to be a bit separate between the two, and that's for good reason, because that also means that we're a bit less tied and we're a bit less beholden to the official staff.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the things that I had insisted on, and Ace and I saw eye to eye on when you were first talking to me about the concepts of the community, because And this is going to be me laying you all past so- peer past the curtain just a little bit. Now, there's been a lot of talk in the community about me becoming an executive at one point, and let me tell you all that I'm not an executive, and you should all be glad I'm not. Now, that probably sounds a bit shocking to you all, but this is something that I've seen happen in Web3 communities before, to the point where if you officially make someone official that's been helping out in the community a lot, then it becomes a matter of them helping because they're part of the official staff rather than because they're a member of the community. So a big part of the reason why you all trust me is because I'm just like you. I'm just a member of the community. Even though I have the technical title at this point as the leader of the new community, I really don't see that as being all that special. I see it as being someone who's been trusted as a caretaker, not someone who's a leader, not someone who's a sort of, God forbid I be called a dictator for that matter, because I'm not. Ruling with an iron fist is not my style whatsoever. I'm with the exception of obviously enforcing the rules that we're going to have. Like, for example, and this is something they'll say right off the bat, if anyone sells the one community token that they get distributed to them, that person will be excommunicated from the community and definitely from the larger pool playing ecosystem itself. No excuses, no exceptions. I've heard all before. The executive team has heard all before. Everyone has heard all before. So if anyone does decide to do that, I will gladly be weighing for them with that iron fist. And that's
And
the
rightly,
only, yeah, and that's the only place I will have an iron fist.
Well, it is needed if someone is going to break the rules.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because ultimately what we want from that group is to have part of the cream of the crop there. And from what we've seen so far, we do have that for the most part. Granted, I don't have the full list, and I'm still waiting on folks to get in contact with me if and when they do decide to opt in. And speaking of which, to any of the folks watching here who are Pool Flame members on YouTube, if you opted into the new community and you haven't contacted me yet, reach out to me on Telegram. And ideally, you want to include your transaction hash that you used to pay the 100 UCT with. Because I'm trying to get a head count here for certain things. So that's going to help immensely if I have that and if I have people get in contact with me rather than trying to figure out who paid and who I need to contact next. Because I can ferret that out by looking at the guarantee wallet, but that makes it quite a bit harder for me. So
Hunter,
go ahead, Scott.
in in that video that you sent me, does that go through how we can actually withdraw and get money from it?
No, because the goal of the community token will not be a matter of spending it or selling it. Well, for a matter, it will be a matter of spending it. It'll be a matter of extracting value from it, but we will not be selling the new token
Sure, but then how? Okay, but how do we make any money from it?
because
Because
we're
that's
going to be extracting value from it. So, like for example, on that call, I referenced a couple of ideas I had. One being a marketplace where folks who folks could put up their wares and services. And I gave a couple of examples, like for example, a couple of documents that I've had weighing in the wings to put on some sort of marketplace that we put up. I'm putting those up on there. And it can also be a matter of folks selling their time, for example. And I did a bit of dialogue with Ken regarding that. The idea being that you could actually pay people to have them give you some time of theirs. And folks who are willing to sell their time can do so for folks who are interested. So that'll be a couple ways of us generating value from the token and us generating utility with that token, both of which are the name of the game in terms of us finding value within that token. To where it gets to the point where eventually we will be allowed to, and we will may very much want to sell at that point, then we will absolutely be allowed to. But we won't be at that point yet. And
Okay.
and definitely another goal that we might want to think about is us also partnering with Aave, like we also have in mind for the tokens in the pool flame collection, as well as PML, perhaps.
Mhm.
So that'll be another way for us to extract value from the tokens.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's definitely the name of the game for a lot of what we're doing right now. Extracts value rather than sell.
Mhm.
And the exception obviously is going to be PML once we reach price charts and price stability on PML, because that's what PML was meant for in the first place.
Okay. Thank you.
So Hunter, will we also be able to, I know that Ace had kind of floated the idea of maybe borrowing against some of the holdings at some point?
Yeah, we'd be doing that through Aave, but that's something that's going to be way in the future. Chances are that we're not going to be able to partner with Aave on the community token until quite a bit after we partnered with them for the pool flame tokens as well as for PML if we decide to partner with them for PML. So if it gets done, then that's going to be the last one to get done that way. All right. Are there any further questions regarding anything? No? All righty then. All right, so we'll go ahead and close out. But before we do, there's just a couple things I want to say. And the first is to the audience watching us on YouTube. YouTube tells me that most of the views I get are from folks who haven't subscribed to the channel. So if you like the video on demand meetings that I do here, and you like the recordings of my calls, then a subscribe to the channel would really help, because for one thing, that helps the channel, and for another thing, that helps other Pool Flame members find the channel as well. And of course, if you like this video, go ahead and like it. If you dislike it, well, you can dislike it, hit that button, I guess. And also, for everyone else, I go ahead and put this in, make sure I have this right here. All right, so like I noted before, I am entirely independent of the main pool filling official apparatus, and I do this entirely independently because I enjoy sharing the knowledge. I enjoy sharing what I know, and I enjoy sharing the tools I've made and everything else with you all, with the entirety of the community. And oftentimes I found that at my calls, some people do ask if there's any way they can donate to me, because that's the main way that I help keep this going, is through donations. I'll go ahead and put my wallet address in the chat, and also have it in the video description for those watching on YouTube. Please don't feel pressured to donate, but if you do decide to donate, then just know that your donation actually helps keep things going. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and close out as per tradition. Does anyone think I'll get it right this time?
Yes.
Chance, not a chance.
Well, at least you're honest, Scott. Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. To the moon! Not the gas station.
See?
Well, I suppose we need fuel before we get to the moon.
Thank you, Hunter. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you,
I'm
Hunter.
Thanks,
I'm going
Hunter.
to go ahead and stop the recording before I make an even bigger fool of myself.